Welcome back to your MATLAB mentor, where MATLAB turns math into motion. Let's go smarter, not harder. Opening up a new episode. Today we are going to talk about one of the most important skills in MATLAB, which is plotting. So please make sure that you are already saw the first episode, as it's kind like everything depend on each other. Also feel free to have your laptop MATLAB file to apply as we go, and also like save your own scripts. So let's begin. So today, as we said, it's just like gonna talk today about plotting. Let's specify x in the beginning, line space 0 multiplied by 2 pi, and the interval is 100. Okay, what I wanna take out of this line. So what is line space? Line space, it just creates a row vector. It can also create column vector, but its a specification, it's for row vector. And same thing as we start before. The starting point is 0. The end point will be 2 pi. The 100 is the number of elements or the length. We're gonna take length function going forward, but what this still means. So it's gonna start from 0 to 2 pi, and 100, there is 100 points will be between 0 and 2 pi in our plot. So he's gonna plot for you a 100 points between 0 and 2 pi. This is the n element. So if we remove this is very helpful also from MATLAB, because MATLAB for each function he give you like an instruction. So he tells you x1, which is x, so it's x-axis because it's row vector. So line space row vector. So x1 or the starting point is 0. Then x2 we said we want it to be 2 pi, and n is number or like the interval, which will set it here to be 100. So we have 100 points between 0 and 2 pi. Then let's run. Now it's in the workspace. I won't explain all of this one more time, like it's all in the first episode, but like the workspace is our storage, so when we just press run it already got saved in our workspace, if you guys remember from the last episode. So now we are good with our x-axis. Let's specify y-axis to be y equals sine x. Let's call our plot figure 1. So do I have to do this every single time? The thing about calling like figure 1, figure 2, figure 3 is just make your code more organized, and instead of like saying, oh, this plot or this plot, no, this plot will be figure 1 and the other plot will be figure 2. So it's kind like when you are press run in the end of your code, he just give your code more sense or more meaning. So we said it's figure 1, and just say plot x and y. Semicolon, semicolon, and let's see what we'll get. Okay, so we got a graph. The x-axis is from 0 to 2 pi. 2 pi is around like 6.2, something like that, so it's the same here. And sine x for y, so sine x goes like from maximum or 0, probably like 0 to 1, like start from 0 going to the maximum, going back to the decline again, and in the center back to 0 again. This is how like 0 to 1, 0, and then return back to the center, return back to -1, and then to 0. So that's why he makes this like range depend on the y-axis, which because we said sine, so he make this range -1, 0, and 1 for us, and this is very powerful from the MATLAB. Okay, so we have this. What if I wanna like have some x-axis or x label and like y-axis label? I have title, I want legend, I want all of those things. How I can do that? one powerful thing, like, and this tells us that MATLAB is super user friendly, that if I wanna make an x-axis title, I will just make xlabel. And we mentioned this last time, that each function is really derived from the name of its function. So xlabel, you can just like know that it's the x-axis title. And txt is text, like I can write text here. And string, scalar, character, vector, string array, character array, cell array, all of this are data types, and I'm gonna more in depth, but basically he can tells you that you can write whatever character you want without any restrictions. So we can make for x-axis something like it can become radians. Okay, y-axis title, what's the function? Ylabel. It's super cool, to be honest, like it's very like helpful for you to learn this very quickly. Let's make this title sine x. Now let's try. We found radian, we found sine x. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, what about title? So if I want a title, the function is also title. Same thing, I will open brackets and then title text with the same all of these data types. So the title, maybe let's say basic, sine wave, semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. Okay, so far so good. Okay, what if I wanna like it's nice, but I want the line to be maybe like much bigger. So what should I do with this? So basically, if I bend the cursor right there and I press comma, I will see all the other option that I can do. So let's see here font size, and I can basically editing. So when I press font size, MATLAB gave me suggestion and said like you have to enter a value here. The font size, the default, he said 11. So he also like gave me the range of numbers I can choose from. So the default is starting from 11, so I have to target more than 11. So let's see if I want to like something like 15. It's way bigger now. Okay, let's see about ylabel, font size. Maybe also like 15. Better, right? What about title, comma? Okay, 15. But comma because it's also like title, so the title should be way bigger and much more in bold. So that's why MATLAB like did it for us in bold. Also, I want you guys like to see now the graph. It doesn't have a grid. So there is a function called grid on, where like in the sketching copybook in calculus, there is a grid which is like this is squares. So now the graph without squares, but we can add those squares in our graph. So if we said now grid on, here we go. We're gonna see like the graph now like has a grid on, which is kind of like makes it more like professional and academically friendly if you are like representing in front of professors or something like that. So this will be really helpful. What about legend if I wanna create some legend? And also legend came from legend function. Add legend to axis. So also open parentheses, label, let's say sine x and sine x is here. So far so good. So this for the legend, I can also editing, but let's return back to the graph itself. What if I want to change a lot of stuff about my graph? Okay, so what if I want to change the color? Let's go to the plot. So he gave me here option. So if I press option, he's gonna give me everything I can change. So let's say I want to change the color. So I put the color, double parentheses, and then like another double parentheses, and I will press R. This should gives me like red color. Now it's a red color. What if I press P? It's a blue color. So how should I know all of those abbreviations? Like it's just like first letter of every color. So no, we're gonna go through this. There is like in MATLAB documentation, he make like a glossary or dictionary for all the colors or all the marker symbols, and we're gonna go through this in just a minute. But we're gonna finish. What if I wanna like line style? So what's the line style function? Line style, I'm telling MATLAB that I want my graph or my plot to be in the form of those line styles. So I can choose. So if I choose this right now and I press run, so my line is in the form of those two semicolon. So this is the line style. It's just how my graph wanna be. So we said I wanna be like this. Okay. What about line width? Line width. So it's increasing the width of my line. So, and also the default is 0.5. So 0.5, I should target 2 or 3 maximum. But what if I press 10? What we're gonna see? Definitely we don't wanna see this graph in this like font or size or width. So maybe 5. It's okay, but still not the best. So the default is 0.5. So what about 2? This sounds really good to me, so I will leave it at 2. But the takeaway from this that each function has its own rules. Line width, the default starting point is 0.5, so I cannot apply whatever like works with line width will be with line style. It's both different. Okay, returning back, how I can know all the colors and all like different styles and markers. So last time we were saying like I can just press help and then write anything I want to know about help plotting. Here MATLAB gave me everything, all the links that I want to know about plotting. So let's go to the documentation. Plot. He will give me different function. Let's scroll down, all the way down. Yes, here. So marker symbols is very important because we're gonna go through this. And this all the symbols that can be marker symbol, and we're talking about line style in few seconds, and here are all the options that I can use if I want to use a line style. And the colors, so we use red, we use blue, green, there is something like cyan, yellow, black, white, and all the abbreviations. So okay, should we actually memorize all of those? Not like it's already here, so we don't have to memorize all of those, but pick a favorites. So like from color name, just pick 3 like favorite colors with you, because if you wanna make like a maximum 3 plots or something, you already know. Other than that, you can always return back to here. Also like for the marker symbol is also like something like, oh, this is the famous markers that usually are like very common in all graphs. You can use different things, it's very up to you. But same thing, like also like pick 3 4 favorites. Okay, so this is how we can know all the colors, all the symbols, all the line style, all the line widths. And as I said, I can like change all of this. Like let's try with the legend. I can have like label too. So let's see something like cosine x, but I do have one graph, but I can do that if I want. I'm not sure you're gonna accept it, but I can keep going because legend it can like if I have a 3 plots or something, I can just have as much as I can, but I want options. He gave me location. So the legend is usually on the top right corner, but when I press location, so I can make it north, south, east, west. I can choose wherever the location. The best trick about MATLAB that I can let MATLAB choose the best location for me, depend on how my plot looks like. So if I scroll down, there is location best. Like I'm just telling MATLAB, please MATLAB, choose the best location for me. And if I press run, it was a little bit lower, but now it's higher a little bit. So in the MATLAB perspective, this is the best location. What if I get back again and I press best but outside? So now he puts the legend outside my graph. That's very, very helpful. Like if you have several plots, MATLAB will make sure your legend is seen and in the best location. So this for legend, and as we can see right now, we can edit every single function, whether xlabel, ylabel, title, legend, everything. Okay, I wanna highlight also a function called length. We're gonna use this along the way. So if I wanna know the length of x, let's see what this will give me. It gave me the length of x is 100, which we specify here from 0 to 2 pi 100 element. So n is the length, yes. So this value that I wanna 100 points between 0 and 2 pi is the length. So if I wanna length of x is 100, if I want a length of y is also 100. So this is very important along the way to know that you just, if you want to know the length, you can just length and then x-axis or y-axis. Sounds good so far? Okay, let's keep going. Right now I want to mention or say the difference between, like, if you guys realized why the line width has double column and font size has one column, and what's the difference between them. So right now in a comment, so this column is character vector, while double column is a string vector. So is the different, we can say the different is in the data type, but it's very important to know that this character and this string along the way, because character can matches just with character, string can matches also with a string. And we're gonna go more in depth in the data types. I don't wanna like go or like say anything now about data types, but it's very important for me that you guys know that this is character and this is string. So character has its own usages, string has its own usages. Okay, let's move forward. What if now let's try plot multiple lines. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, so x, or specify x-axis, so let's use also line space. So it's kind of confusing a little bit, but please make sure to write as we go forward, because like I said line space, but apparently there is no e here, so you can write e. And if I keep going, like if I wanna like maybe -2 pi and 2 pi. Quick recap, starting point, end point. I can like specify a length right now, but I don't want a length. Okay, so MATLAB, I don't think he's happy with this. So if I press run, error, undefined function line space for input argument of type double. So it's very important to give a very great focus to the error message, because it's kind of like highlights the error that you has. So he told me now that line space, this is E. And if I just remove this E, he gave me the function without any error. Before that, let's clear all. Clear all for a recap wise, we're gonna clear all my workspace. So if now I press run section, give me the graph, but the workspace is cleared. In order for me, if I want to run that, now he gave me the new X. So here's the answer or result. It starts from negative 2 pi and then all the way to 2 pi. Starting point and end point and all the things in between. So this is my x-axis. Now let's say y1 equal sine x, y2 equal cosine x. Semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. Let's name this figure to be figure 2. Now let's plot. So plot is always x-axis, comma, y-axis, y1. And we said what we want to plot multiple lines. So let's keep going. Another plot. So the first plot, I specify my x-axis, y-axis. Then comma, I can make line specification or options, or I can go right away to the x2 and y2. And then I have also option for this. Okay, but let's right now, I want to go right away to the y and then y2. Let's see in the beginning what he's gonna give me. Okay, he gives me like two graphs, same figure, two plots, but in the same figure, right away in just one line. Okay, what if I wanna like differentiate between them more? Like MATLAB is very thankfully, he gives me different color on each plot. But what if I wanna make them more distinguishable for me? Okay, so if you guys remember, like after that, x1 and y1, there was options here that I can color, marker, so I can just like make a symbol or color out of this. So what if I want this to be O, no, this is 0, O, while, and then I can keep going now, X. So here right away, like I cannot write anything now except my second plot, which is also X, Y2. Let's make this maybe asterisk and then close it. Very, very unique now, right? The first graph is circular, the second graph is asterisk. So I can do different shapes as I want as we can move forward. So let's try one more line. What if I wanna like write line y3 equal maybe sine x minus 0.25. Just x minus 0.25 will be slightly different from sine x because like 0.25 is just phase shift, so on the graph it's gonna like appear a little bit different. But okay, so same footsteps. Now the third line is x, okay, but now with y-axis number 3 I can make this like blue line without any shapes. Let's press enter. Now here is just slightly different, but this is the third graph in blue, second graph in circle, third graph in asterisk. I can keep going. I can like specify y4 and I can keep going and so on, and it's all follow like the same sequence. Sounds good? Okay, please feel free to have any questions in the comments. I will answer them right away. Feel free to pause and try on your own. All of this will be helpful, but not just by watching, but by applying what you are see, because like you're gonna get confused in very small stuff, and programming is about very tiny details of mistakes, something like line space, but MATLAB will not always tells you like, oh, line space has like missing E or there is extra E. You might just searching everything and everything is right except just very tiny spellings. That's why like split screens, it's very up to you, but like please make sure just that you are applying as we go forward. Okay, so we plot multiple lines. Let's now try to plot a matrix. Last episode we explained matrices, but let's now plot a matrix. Let's see like something like Q equal magic 4. This kind weird, right? Let's see what's magic 4 give us. Interesting. So what's magic 4? But it gives me a matrix apparently, like 4 by 4, 4 columns by 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he gave me a matrix 4 by 4. This is how it goes. Yes, apparently. So magic is a matrix functions that gives me, like if I said 3, gonna give me 3 by 3, 4, gonna give me 4 by 4 rows and columns. That's it. One more thing. So basically, you just create a matrix where rows and columns and diagonals, if added up, it will give me the same constant. This decent definition, but let's apply what this means and what means also by diagonal. Diagonal is the x-axis, like if I go like 4, 7, 10, 13, 1, 6, 11, 16. So it's magic, and that's why it's magic. He's just saying like if I added like, okay, let's apply this. If I added 16 plus 2 plus 3 plus 13, 34. This for rows. What if I added columns right now? So if I add 16 plus 5 plus 9 plus 4, guess what? 34. Let's try diagonal. What if I added 4 plus 7 plus 10 plus 13? Surprise! Another 34. This is a magic. So magic, he gives me 4 by 4 rows and columns. If I added up whether rows, diagonal, columns, it's gonna give me the same value, which is in our situation now is 34. It's very like easy to do a matrix if you want to just a quick matrix to use a magic function, and it's very good to know also. Okay, so let's now try to plot Q. Let's see what we can get. Here we go. We got like a very decent graph from 0 to 4, 0 to 16. Okay, and like MATLAB, he actually specify our x-axis and y-axis because like the maximum number here is 16, so he makes this for the y-axis, and he make from 0 to 4 for x-axis in a way that from 0 to 4 and from 0 to 16 it will be the best way that can represent all of those graphs, all of those like plots, because if we scroll down to the right, nothing. So that's why MATLAB he chooses for us how it will be the best option to specify both, or like those 4 plots: blue, red, violet, and yellow. Sounds good? And we can keep going. We can apply what we have learned. So we can make like xlabel, something like matrix, ylabel, maybe magic, title is matrix plotting, and let's maybe make the grid on semicolon, semicolon, another semicolon. Let's see now. And as we said, we can like make this bigger, we can make this bigger. Let's do this real quick. So right away, font size 15, comma, font size 15, comma, font size 15. I can make color, I can make line width, I can go through each of those functions, and it's gonna give me also some option to specify. And if now I press run, here we go. So matrix plotting is way bigger, magic is way bigger, matrix also is way bigger. Okay, now let's go next level. What if I want to use markers at a specific point in my own plot? So what's the point of this? Why I would use markers at a specific point? So if you are on graduation project and you're doing a presentation and you want to like highlight something like the maximum point of the plot and maybe the lowest point of the plot, and you need those points to has like a circle or a square, or like in your presentation you want to highlight, okay, this circle, where this circle is the most, like we realize that this is the highest depth or highest value of something. So here is how we can do it. Let's also like specify x-axis, line space, start point and end point. So I want to start with 0 and I want to end at 10, semicolon. I'm kind now go faster because we go through this before. Sine x. Now let's plot x, y. Okay, so I mentioned out in the MATLAB documentation the marker symbols, and you guys can choose from it. And it was over there, and it's just bunch of symbols. So right now I will choose something like, if I wanna do like negative, or this not negative, like the underscore and circle. I can write square if I want. And then this is what I want to use now. Marker indices. Marker indices, this is the function where you want to highlight those indices at those specific points. Okay, and as I said, each function has its own rules, and with own defaults. So here's the functions that I have. It's default, like it's mandatory. I have to start with 1 and then colon length of y. Okay, if I did that right now, he's gonna make the indices all over the plot, but I have to give him another number, and this number, like this is the start and this is the end. So right now if I make like length of y, oh, I think yes, because like we didn't run this yet. So let's here clear all, run section, everything is cleared. Let's now specify this. Okay, here's he gives me like now all the indices is all over the plot right now, because like I have to make sure this error happened because y here wasn't specified in my workspace, and all the y's that was specified, it was just those one, y1, y2, y3. But right now if I get back again and I press y, if I press length y, he gives me 100. So he just like make 1 to 100 all the marker indices is like all the marker, like if we were gonna return back to the graph, all the indices or the square is all around the graph is 100 point. Okay, like if we count them, it might be around 100 or between 1 and 100. But what if I wanna just to be every 5 points? I can write 1 to 5 and it's gonna give me totally different answer. Here we go. So it's just like it's now way more fewer, but it increased the importance. So right now I can say the maximum has a square, the minimum has a square, and what's 1 to 5? Like is 1 to 5, but here if we realize this starts from 0.5, then 1, then let's see this 1.4, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.6, and 4.5-ish. So right here we said 1 to 5, but in the graph he increasing by 0.5. Is this an error or why is this happening? It's just a percentage, so it's increasing by a degree that is the same between 1 and 5, is also the same between 0 and 0.5. Let's say the two values is like 0 and 0.5 and 1 to 5. 1 to 5 it will be increasing, like for example, by 5%. Is the same 5% from 0 to 0.5. So it just increased by the same value. Like as I'm saying, like please increase this by this value, but depend on your starting value. So the starting value is start with 0 because it's sine x, but it's also increasing by this 5%, which is the same as 1 increased to 5 is the same as 0 increased to 0.5 or 0.5 increased to 1. It's just the percentage wise. And now, yes, now I can like change this square maybe to circle. I can customize as I want. And now it changes to circle. Okay, right now I want to go through what's the difference between function called hold on and hold off. So basically, hold on is just you're adding the other plot to the previous plot. All will be in the same figure, which is, let's name this figure to be figure 4. So again, hold on is just saying that if I create now another plot, it will be in the same figure with this plot, and both will like be plotted simultaneously. But if I said hold off and I create now a new plot, he will just create the new plot without adding to the previous plot. Okay, without many words, let's try. So now if I press hold on, and if I want to create the same line, but we're gonna adjust it to different. Let's make, instead of sine x, cosine x. Okay, right now I do expect that you're gonna give me two plots in the same figure, which is figure 4. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So cosine x is starting from 1, sine x is starting from 0, and it happens simultaneously because I press hold on. What I press hold off? As I said, if I press hold off, he's gonna give me this function only, which is the cosine x. Starting from maximum, going to the bottom, then back to the center, maximum, bottom, and so on. So hold on, both plots in the same figure. Hold off, I just don't want the previous figure, I want to start by my own, which is here. And also, like, I didn't specify any colors, but MATLAB will give you color if you didn't specify. Make one in orange, another in blue, which is, MATLAB is very powerful for doing this. Okay, so now it's time for our mini assignment. So our mini assignment today, plot sine and cosine functions on the same graph with labels, legends, and customs styling. I wanna just mention one more thing in MATLAB. If I'm doing a comments right now and I reach to this line, I'm gonna start a new line. But if I press something like x equal 5 maybe, now the line past this line and I can keep writing and it will never stop me from writing even if I kept going all the way. This is also a very important thing to know. So I don't want to X, I just want to mention this. Okay, so this is the mini assignment. And for the plot, just some hints about the mini assignment. Sine and cosine usually was the y-axis, not the x-axis. Okay, on the same graph, we just mention how we can do this with the same graph. Okay, labels, I do expect to be like all the labels that we like trained on, which is like X, Y, title, all of this. And also put legend, custom styling, whether like it's what I want to say, yeah, lines, line style, color, line widths, or more. Like try to be creative, and please feel free to leave any questions, any answers, any questions, or like if you need any answers for whether our this episode or any other program you do work on in MATLAB. And it's now your turn. Okay, programming is about practice, and practice is always makes permanent. So please make sure you do practices going over and over with your own coding, with your own typing, not just watching. And again, because practice makes permanent. Thank you all, and see you all next episode.